What's up, everyone? All right, in today's episode, I'm going to break down my trades from the morning. Today is the biggest green day I've had in over a week. Now, I guess that's not saying too much. Last week was a fairly slow week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days in a row, I was up $11,000 each day. And then Thursday was a smaller green day, and Friday was a smaller green day. So I finished the week up around $40,000, and as we're sitting here this morning, I'm already up $20,000 on the day. That's half of last week's total profit in just 3 hours this morning. Not bad. That gets me off to a really good start. So you can see I traded two stocks, RECCT and KIT. The first one I traded was RECT, and the first trade this morning I didn't take until 8 a.m. It was a relatively slower start to the day. Now, those of you guys who tuned into my game plan episode yesterday, where I uploaded my watch list, you may have gotten a trade early this morning on, what was it? Now I'm trying to remember. CLIK. Click. So Click Holdings Limited. This is a Hong Kong company, and it was up in the after-hour session on Friday. And so I put it as the number one stock on my watch list for Monday morning. And guess what? It worked very nicely. From $11 all the way up to $18 a share. But I didn't take any trades on it because this move right here was at 4 in the morning. 4, 4:30, 5 in the morning. In fact, by 5 a.m., it was already pulling back. So by the time I sat down to trade beginning at 7 a.m., you can see it had already pulled back way too much. And so I didn't get any trades on it, which is, it was fine because it didn't have a good setup, but kind of a bummer because totally had the right idea and it just didn't wait for me, but that's the way it goes. So, right idea, but didn't participate in that move. So that was the only stock that was really on my watch list, but I'm glad to see that it worked out well. So when I sat down at 7 a.m., Soho, this stock, you can see it's up currently 140% and it's trading exactly sideways. Why is that? Look at the 10-second chart on this thing. Isn't that a weird chart? Well, the reason it's trading sideways, and I'll pull up the level 2 so you can see, is because the stock is actually a buyout. The whole company has been bought out by another company, and so now it trades basically sideways. There's no more speculating about what the future value will be. It's been determined by the buyout price of $2.25 a share. Now you might say, well, why isn't it trading at exactly $2.25? It usually trades just a little bit under that price. Now, if you bought this right now and held until it gets bought out, you would get back $2.25 a share. And so you might say, well, geez, this is kind of a no-brainer. I could buy 10,000 shares of this right here, and I'll make $1,200. Now, it might take a little while, but eventually, when it gets delisted and all the shareholders get paid off, you'll get back that $1,200. Well, plus everything you had in the position. However, there is a small risk that the buyout won't go through. There could be a regulatory hurdle. There could be a shareholder lawsuit. There could be a reason why the buyout doesn't go through. And so this kind of delta between the current price and the acquisition price is what is being perceived as the risk. It's quite low. It's minimal. So you won't make a lot of money buying and holding this. But you do have the downside risk that if it doesn't go through, how far are you going down? You're going a good ways back down because we were at less than $1 a share yesterday. So it got bought out for a big premium. So if the buyout doesn't go through, it's going back to $1. So it's like risking $1 to make, 12 cents. That's not very good risk to reward ratio, even if your probability is really high. And the probability is high, but that's just the risk. Now, sometimes a stock will trade with a bigger sort of spread or delta between the buyout price and what it's at, which represents that there, is being priced in even more risk. So you would get reward if that risk doesn't come to fruition and you get the buyout, but if not, then, you could get that big downside risk. So anyways, no trades on that for me. It would tie up too much buying power for too long to take that trade. CODX. Okay, so CODX, this is the second leading gapper, up 120%, 35 million share float, moving higher as you can see here. Not my cup of tea, it's just too cheap and the float's too high. Next one down, BKYI. BKYI is very thickly traded. It has 200 million shares of volume, CODX has 340 million shares of volume. So we've got a lot of volume on these today. But this is too cheap. It's not moving enough. So I'm really just not interested in it at all. Then we've got CLIK, which you could see here. So now let's go look at a couple stocks hit the scanners this morning. SLGB is an interesting one. This hit the scanner at about 6:30 in the morning, and look at the squeeze from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8, 9, 10, 11 to $12 a share, and then all the way down to $2. Well, you better believe, yeah, it's a Chinese stock. Okay, so this is one of those things where it's a somewhat recent small cap IPO, sells off, rips back up, gets that big push this morning, and then unwinds. So most likely, and it's speculation because I don't know, but it's a Chinese stock. So what we know sometimes happens with these Chinese stocks is that if you ever look in the comments on YouTube, there's all these imposters and all these scammers that are trying to get you to go into their Telegram group or their WhatsApp group. And what they usually end up doing is they send out an alert to tell all these people to buy this stock. And in fact, I've got a text on a stock I think I added it to my block list, so it's not still on here. But the text will be like, hey, do you want, a stock that's going to go up 50% in the next, 3 days? And you say yes, and then you go into this Telegram or WhatsApp group. And so those groups then send out alerts that it's time to buy this stock, and it starts squeezing up. And then the insiders who already own a huge position start dumping shares. And so, although I don't know that that's what happened here, the price action indicates that that could be what happened. From $12 to $2 a share is a lot of selling. And it was very light volume on the move up and then just high volume selling. So no trades on that one. That was tough to see. And so since that was the first kind of stock that I was looking at this morning, I was like, boy, that is risky. KZIA, we got a similar kind of pop and pullback. Now this one had news, so a little bit different. It does have news. Australian company, it's not Chinese, but nonetheless popped and sold off. Then we had, there was another one, ATON, that popped up and sold off a bit. There were a couple others. And then RECCT hits my scanner. And when it first hit my scanner, I was like, I don't know. I'm not really sure this is going to work because of what we've seen on a few others. But nonetheless, it's definitely moving quickly. So this thing squeezed from 450 to 5, 550, 6, 657. It dips down right here, and I bought this dip right there. It then pops up here to a high of about $8. And I was like, all right, there you go. The only problem is that first order, my first trade, I filled 677 shares of a 5,000 share order. So I got in at 746, and I would have loved to have gotten 5,000 shares because it popped from 750 up to over 8, and I was up $300 on 600 shares. 50 cents a share would have been $2,500, but not a big win with just 600 shares. So broke the ice, $300. It ends up pulling back, and I thought, well, I don't know if we're going to get anything more on that. But then it starts to curl back up right here. And if you look at this 1 minute chart or this 10-second chart, it starts to curl back up. And I said, let's watch this level. We popped above VWAP. We went below it. We popped back above it right down here. I could have done that dip there, but I hesitated. So now it pulls away, goes up to 720, pulls back. And now I'm watching for the break through this level. And my target is a retest of this level here. So I'm watching. And as it comes back up right here, I jump in. I then add again at 750. We tap 8, and then we do a micro pullback, and then we pop up over 8, and we grind up to the peak there, which was about 850. I take my profit. We dip down, it comes back up. I got back in up here, right here. I missed this big candle. I got back in right here, and I actually gave back about $4,000 off the top on that candle. So got in too high, it rejects, and so that was a little bit of a bummer. So I was up about 19,000 on RECT. I'm up 16,500 on it as of right now. But then you can look at the chart and you can see that it kind of came all the way back down, which is not great to see. All right, and this one did have news, so not great there either. All right, so then KITT pops up, KIT, and we've traded this one before. The headline, deep dive, $250 million expansion. They're doing some deep sea rare earth exploration. Okay, so that's kind of topical right now. Initially, the stock pops up and I'm like, I don't know. I've traded KIP before. I don't have high expectations for it. But man, this thing just squeezed. It goes all the way up here, it keeps going, pulls back, pops up here, dips down. And on my first trade, I got in right here for the breakthrough 4. Breaks 4, dips down, I sold for a loss. Then it goes sideways here. I added back since it was basing out. No, sorry, it wasn't right there. I added back. It was actually right here. It was right there that I added back. Right there, I added back. And we got this little break here up to 440. And so I jumped in and out of that for a quick profit, and then it started to pull back. And this one has also pulled back quite a bit. So the moves today were relatively short-lived, which is not great to see. It felt like a pretty choppy day, and I'm grateful to be up $20,000. This is a solid green day. So, being very precise, just being patient, waiting for that good opportunity, and then striking right when I see it is what's paying the bills. And these stocks are all coming straight off the scanners. So if you haven't already checked out my episode on stock selection, I'm going to put a link to it at the end of this episode. I'm also going to put a link to our 2-week trial at Warrior Trading. During that trial, you can use this software side by side with me. It's not just that you see it on screen share. You actually have your own installation of the software, and you can use it. So you've got the scanners, the charts, the news feed, the chat room, and my live broadcast. It's a really awesome platform. So I hope you guys check it out. And as always, I'll remind you that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please manage your risk, take it slow, and always practice in a simulator before putting real money on the line. I'll see you guys back here live streaming tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.